In today's video, I will explain the poem Eldorado by Edgar Allan Poe. Before we start, I want to tell you all that there will be questions in between which you all have to answer on your own based on your understanding of the poem. Now let's have a glimpse of the poem. The poem begins with the speaker stating that there was a knight who had spent his whole life journeying through sunshine and shadow. He was seeking out the lost paradise city of Eldorado, rumored to contain endless amounts of gold. Although he searched for years and years, the knight never found the city. In the middle of the poem, the speaker describes how the knight's strength was starting to fail him. He was becoming quite old and was about to die. This is when he encounters a shade along the road. This person, or perhaps ghost of the afterlife, told him that one can only reach Eldorado through death, and it requires walking in lands such as the Valley of the Shadow of Death. So now I will read out each stanza, as there are 4 stanzas in the poem. I will explain them as we go on. Now let's start with stanza 1. Gaily bedight, a gallant knight, in sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing a song in search of Eldorado. So here in the first stanza of the poem, the speaker introduces a gallant knight, and the knight is said to be gaily bedight. This strange word is not in common use, and it refers simply to being dressed. So it means that he is dressed in colorful clothing, and he is also knightly in his bravery. The man is going on a trip, and it is through sunshine and shadow, also known as through dark places and bright, cheerful places. He has been journeying for a long time, but he is still in high spirits. This is seen through the poet's assertion that the man is singing a song. The knight's goal is very simply stated in the 6th line, which is that he is looking for the lost city of Eldorado. Now, Eldorado is commonly thought to have been a city located in South America. Explorers have been seeking it out for over 500 years to no avail. The main allure of the place was that it was meant to be entirely made of or containing vast riches of gold. There are also some legends which speak of the city as a social paradise. So with this piece of information, it is easy to see why the knight has been traveling for a long time. It is likely that he is going to be traveling for a lot longer and will never get where he is going. So these are the questions which you have to answer based on the explanation I just gave. Question number 1. What is the knight looking for in stanza 1? Question number 2. What was the main allure of the place Eldorado? Now let's move on to stanza 2. But he grew old, this knight so bold, and o'er his heart a shadow fell as he found no spot of ground that looked like Eldorado. Now in these lines, it seems to be coming true, as in the 2nd stanza, the speaker starts that the knight grew old. His journey did not come to an end as he had hoped. Rather, He is still traveling and now is near death. He had at one point been so bold as to set out on this adventure, but now things are not looking so hopeful. Darkness, which is a constant image in this text, falls over the knight's heart. It blocks out any light and hope that might have remained there. It is caused entirely by the fact that there is no spot of ground that looked like Eldorado. Now, question number 3. Did the knight's journey come to an end? And question number 4. What image fell over the knight's heart and how? Now, stanza 3. And as his strength failed him at length, he met a pilgrim shadow. Shadow, said he, where can it be, this land of Eldorado? Now finally, in the third stanza, the knight reaches the threshold of the end of his journey. His strength, which has taken him so far, is on the verge of falling him and failing him. But then something changes. He meets a pilgrim shadow. Now here there is no details about who this person is or where they are making their pilgrimage to. In fact, the poem's tone is so haunting that it is very likely that this person is not actually alive. Perhaps they are a ghost the knight has encountered on his journey into the afterlife. The knight does not address the mysterious nature of this person, and instead he asked him his most pressing question: where can it be, this land of Eldorado? So here the knight met a pilgrim shadow and he asked where was the land of Eldorado. Now, question number 5. Whom did the knight meet at the end of his journey? Question number 6. What was the question raised by the knight at the end of the stanza, and to whom? Now, moving on to the fourth stanza. Over the mountains of the moon, down the valley of the shadow, ride boldly, ride, the shade replied, if you seek for Eldorado. So here the reply the shade gives him is less than helpful, but it does allude to the knight's current state of being. It also speaks to the larger theme of the poem, which is the futility of pursuing one's dreams. At first, the directions seem like they might lead somewhere, as the shadow tells him that he has to go over the mountains, but then it takes another turn. The mountains are on the moon, and he must then ride down the valley of the shadow. This line is a very clear reference to Psalm 23 verse 4, which refers to walking through the valley of the shadow of death. In regards to the mountains, they are connected to something outside the poem's immediate purview. The place, Mountains of the Moon, was thought at one time to be the source of the Nile River. The moon aspect came from their snow-covered peaks. So from these lines, a reader can see that the knight's search as the one that is entirely futile, as Eldorado is a place one can only reach through death, or one that will bring death down upon the explorer. Now, question number 7. What was the direction given to the knight about the place? And last question, why was the knight's search entirely futile? So you have to answer all the questions based solely on your understanding of the poem. Now we have come to the end of the session. That is all for today's video.